Hi, my name is Kelly Aitken. I'm the Business Development Officer for the DigitME2 project, which is a European Regional Development Funded project based at the University of Central Lancashire's Burnley campus. We provide up to 150 hours of fully funded support to help Lancashire-based manufacturing SMEs adopt Industry 4.0. Our team specialises in data visualisation, data analytics, IIoT, the Industrial Internet of Things, as well as robotics and automation. This video is part of a series of videos designed to give you a more detailed insight into each of these subjects. Please contact me using the details on the screen to discuss how DigitME2 can help your company. Thank you for listening.
Welcome to the first in a series of short videos covering data visualization. My name is Patrick. I'm part of a team of engineers who work at DigitME2. In this first video, we'll be looking at sources and types of data. We'll then introduce some of the ways in which data visualization can help people to quickly understand the knowledge contained within their data. Data is a collection of values such as numbers, words, measurements, observations, or just descriptions of things. Whilst data has always been a key part in the management and day-to-day running of businesses, the past 10 years has seen a huge increase in the availability of data from machines, sensors, and systems. For manufacturers, this has resulted in an ever-increasing and varied amount of data, which is generated from even simple operations. With Industry 4.0 continuing to drive the requirement for more data, the volume and variety of data within manufacturing will continue to rapidly increase. Let's begin by looking at why we need to visualize data. In its simplest form, we want to collect some data and then use analysis and visualization to extract some knowledge from that data. This might be on different levels. For example, if the data is relatively simple, we may be able to simply view the individual data values to understand the information contained in the data. For more complex data, we may want to use charts as a visual representation to help the viewer spot trends located within the data values. As the data complexity increases, we may need to first analyze the data and then display the results of this analysis rather than the original data. In all these cases, we have to be very careful that the analysis and visualization of the data does not confuse the viewer, or even worse, mislead the viewer into drawing incorrect conclusions about the information provided by the data. This is why selecting the correct data visualization technique is now a key part of any business activity. Before we look at visualization techniques, we first need to have a review of the variety of data sources and data types which are typically found in manufacturing companies. Depending on the systems you are using within your company, data sources can include ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning System, that you use for managing your business processes, raw materials, stock, orders, etc. Or a CRM, Customer Relationship Management System, that pulls together all customer interactions from emails, telephone calls, etc. into one place that can be analysed and visualised. You may have any other number of data systems storing information about your business, such as an MRP, MES, etc. Machine monitoring automatically tracks and records activities and performances of machines. IIoT, Industrial Internet of Things, could have any number of devices within your factory collecting information. We have a specific video on this topic. Or you may pull in website statistics from e-commerce sites or advertising. Or you could use web-based APIs. You might pull in data from an API for weather data in your area or traffic levels. Each of these sources will produce data in one or more formats. It's unlikely that data collected directly from a production machine will be transmitted and stored in the same format as data taken from a CRM system. In terms of how data is structured, there are three fundamental types of data. Unstructured data is not organized in a predefined manner or does not have a predefined data model, so does not fit within standard relational databases. Semi-structured data is typically data which cannot be stored in a relational database, but which does have some properties which make it easy to analyze. Normally, this will be varied data which is formatted using defined rules. With structured data, elements are addressable to allow for effective analysis. Typically organized into a formatted repository such as a database, i.e. rows and columns, which can be accessed using SQL, and could include relational keys. Looking at these data types, it is easy to understand that most unstructured data originates from web-related inputs, whereas the financial side of the business will typically use only structured data. However, semi-structured data, for example XML-based data, may well be generated by the manufacturing systems. In terms of data visualization, semi-structured and unstructured data will require some processing to extract data into a form where it can be easily viewed. As previously mentioned, it is important that this processing does not change the intended content of the data. In this video, we will be focusing on structured data. This is an example of structured data. There are 12 numbers arranged within a table. For structured data, the columns typically specify a label for the data, e.g. temperature, pressure, etc., whilst the rows are instances of those related sets of data. There are a range of different ways of storing a table with rows and columns. You might hear those rows referred to as instances or samples, or the columns, attributes or features, but at the end of the day it is still a table which defines the structure of the data. So we've looked at how data is structured. Next we'll discuss qualitative and quantitative data. There are two types of qualitative data, nominal and ordinal. Nominal data includes things like names and colours, anything that doesn't have a specific order and we can't say there is a specific distance between two values. Ordinal data includes things like medal rankings, gold, silver, bronze. These values do have a specific order, but you can't measure a specific distance between them. For quantitative data, we have two types, discrete and continuous. Discrete data can't be broken down into smaller parts. For example, a number of items. So you can have 2 people, but you can't really have 2.2 people. Continuous data can be infinitely broken down. For example, time can be broken down into seconds, milliseconds, then microseconds, etc. So we're going to have a look at a simple example of each. In this example, for nominal data, we have a small table of values, and then we plot how many of each of these values occur, i.e. we're looking at the frequency of occurrence of these values. We can't really plot these raw values in a chart, but we can plot the frequency, and we can also plot the frequency over time, as you can see in the chart on the right. For this example of ordinal data, we are looking at customer satisfaction. So we can say that very satisfied is the best result, followed by satisfied, indifferent, dissatisfied, and then finally very dissatisfied. This is the order they have. But in terms of customer rating, we can't know the difference between two values. Very satisfied isn't necessarily double satisfied. We have a table of the percentage for each customer response. Very satisfied was 35%, satisfied 45%, etc. And then plotted this percentage. So the first bar in the chart, very satisfied, is 35%. As we said, discrete data can't be broken down into smaller parts. So we have a look at this example of the number of cars produced each month in a factory. We can't produce half a car, so we can't break that number down any further. We can produce 1,000 cars, 1,001, but not 1,001.5. We then plotted these values on a line chart. In this example for continuous data, we have a table of weight of completed parts, as weight can be measured and recorded to more and more decimal places, which in this instance has been plotted on a scatter plot. We will cover visualization techniques in the next video, but before we finish, we need to look at how humans view data and how this can be used within data visualization. Humans have the ability to carry out what is known as preattentive processing. This occurs immediately when you view data and is carried out automatically. Wikipedia describes it as the subconscious accumulation of information from the environment. All available information is preattentively processed. Then the brain filters and processes what is important. Information that has the highest salience, a stimulus that stands out the most, or relevance to what a person is thinking about is selected for further and more complete analysis by conscious, attentive processing. In practice, this means you can get the attention of a viewer before they are consciously analysing what you are showing them. For example, if I was to show you this table of numbers and ask you to count the 9s, it's going to take you a while. However, if I highlight the 9s, you can quickly say there are 8 9s. This is due to preattentive processing. For this table, if I ask you to look at trends, again, you can have a good look and figure out the first column is increasing and the second column is decreasing. You can do it, but we can make it a lot easier and much more effective. If I show you something like this, where we've made it more visual, straight away you can say what the trends are for the different columns and how they relate. You don't need to keep so much information in your mind to compare. The human mind can only really hold 3 to 5 values at once. By doing this, we put more emphasis on the overall picture of the data. In this video, we've covered some sources of data, for example ERP, CSM, etc. then unstructured, semi-structured and structured data, nominal and ordinal qualitative data, then discrete and continuous quantitative data. In the following video, we'll discuss some data visualization techniques. Thank you for watching.